How did the popular butthole of your school get a taste of their own medicine? Middle school, when the bell rang to change classes, the hallways were a horrific traffic jam. Everyone suffered through trying to get to their lockers and the next class on time. Enter the butthole popular guy, who thought it was funny to sneak up behind some unsuspecting student who's at his locker and smack the back of the student's head, causing the student to bang his head into his locker. Butthole guy got several warnings to stop, but he didn't. He thought it was so funny. Then one day he picked on the wrong student. Butthole guy got punched square in the face, fell down and lost a tooth. Not a single person, from teacher to student, came to his defense. When Butthole's parents came to the school all upset, everyone told them their son got what he deserved. I imagine a middle-aged office dad picking up a butthole son, and some 12-year-old girl in a Pikachu beanie walks by and says your son got what he deserved. My teacher. She loved to use humiliation against me. I was severely depressed at the time and she thought I was a slacker. I'm a little person, and she would get me to turn off the lights for the projector, or to write on the whiteboard, only to feign ignorance and apologize when I struggled to reach. One day she crossed the line, and I went to the deputy head teacher. He decided to reprimand her during a lesson, in front of her entire class, to give her a taste of humiliation. 2. The teacher wouldn't let one guy in my classroom to go to the restroom to pee, so he peed on an Arizona can. When the bell rang, the guy started heading to the restroom to empty the can, and the biggest bully of the school bumped into him, took the can and, of course, sipped it. He soon realized it didn't taste like tea. It was glorious. Star athlete picked on the fat kids in gym. Fast forward a couple decades. He's fat and bald. Saw him using a Walmart scooter recently, buying crap food. One of the kids he picked on got in shape, stayed that way, and became a top-tier endurance athlete. So sweet. LOL. Same thing happened with the bully from school. Came up to me in a club and tapped me on the shoulder. I looked down and saw this tubby, bald guy wearing glasses. I had no idea who he was until he said, "Remember me from school?" All I could think was, holy crap, karma is a wonderful thing. Love it. Never bullied me, but apparently was a giant butthole to everybody. Star football running back. Had multiple scholarships to Division I. Then he broke his leg and all the offers evaporated. Went to a DIE school. Had a couple kids. Got divorced. Then posted all of his old scholarships to Facebook at age 40. Really sad to see. Literally argued with every single person on the reunion Facebook group. Everyone told him how much they always hated him. He's now literally insane. Posts 30-40 times a day on Facebook of foreign Instagram models with long diatribes about love and life translated into 10 different languages. Posts nearly nude shots of himself also, most hyping himself up. A dark spiral. He copied my exams for English, math, and science in our junior year, except he didn't know that I purposely put the wrong answers for 80% of the questions and then redid the exam after he turned his in. He failed all 3 classes miserably, and when he confronted me to see if I failed too, I just shrugged and said we must have had different versions of the exam. Real talk, when I teach crowded in-person college classes, I make 3 versions of the multiple choice quiz. It's less to get cheaters caught, cheaters gonna cheat, and more to alleviate stress by students who need an out from that crap. The extra hassle is minimal for the stress release. Now that it's remote COVID, I just don't even do exams. Big football star got his butt kicked by a bunch of cowboys for mouthing off one too many times. Then went to college to play ball there. Then got into drugs and was in butthole to his team. Bounced around a couple NFL teams as a quarterback after that and sucked. Then went to jail a couple of times for theft related to his prescription drug problem. His name is now famous for screwing up. You can probably guess his name. The fact that there are 4 replies with different names is astonishing. Popular butthole. For some reason picked on me a lot, hated me, and he got 4 people beat the crap out of me. Next day my brother, 3 years older than me, a 6'5" giant freak of nature, in one punch knocked him out. Best day of my life. Frick yeah, tall brother. She got knocked up in grade 12. I never had any problems with her personally, but she was a major B to a lot of people. Karma, I guess. There was this guy in my high school named Toby who was a massive douche but also popular due to being on the basketball team. Loved to pick fights and play rough. Toby bit off more than he could chew when he elbowed this one classmate named Andy during playing a friendly game. After taking the hit, Andy just straight up decked Toby in the face, knocking him out and making lose 3 of his front teeth and a swollen lip. Toby learned his lesson and stopped being an butthole after that. Band was pretty popular where I lived. I mean, there were super popular kids in band. They had a lot of hazing. I don't know their pecking order, but if someone senior to you told you to do something band related, you had to do it. There was this one chick who was the second senior person in the whole band. She was always crapping on everyone every single day. One day, that one girl who was senior to her called her out and made her march all over the school in front of everyone and made her sing a bunch of chants and more. I wasn't even in band and it still seemed harsh to me. He went bald at 24. Ironically, dozens of other classmates started going bald in their early 30s. He made a Facebook post that said, "For those finally going bald, some of us went bald years ago and have already made it through the grieving process. Good luck." I thought it was actually funny and perhaps losing his hair so early may have humbled him. Or people just grow up and mature as they experience more of what life can throw your way. Fact is, most crappy teens still have their formative years ahead of them. She was 2 years older than me and gave me heck, soaking my sleeping bag in nail polish remover during summer camp, bullying during the school year, the whole 9 yard. She only stopped when she had to change school because she was expelled for fricking a student in the school bathroom. Out of curiosity, I did a checkup on her not too long ago and turns out she's a drug addict who's in and out of rehab with 3 kids, different dads, and she still lives with her deadbeat parents. Is a single jobless single parent. It said THST the mother left him after the kid was eating solids. I feel sorry for the kid. So he got laid. A popular girl bullied me all through middle school. Then in high school she sat next to me the day we were given one of those read the directions tests. She was not so wise as to read the directions. I got to sit there for 10 sweet minutes watching her panic more and more over the ridiculous tasks the test asked of her. Am I in the minority to think that there was no popular butthole in my high school? There were popular kids but they were pretty chill. There were buttholes who wanted to be popular but no one liked them. I guess the most popular guy from my high school, who was a cool dude, married his HS sweetheart and became a physical trainer for an NFL team, and the most popular girl went to medical school, so if that's the update you're looking for, there you go. Same for me. There were plenty of buttholes but they weren't popular. It was a long time ago, the early 2000s. I was in high school when this douchebag harassing classmates in his class. The douche was bullied kids for random reasons. I couldn't remember the exact ones. He would mostly use what he was able to find to taunt the other kids. Given the fact I had misophonia, the douche took the information and used many things that cause sensory overload. It was even happening on the school bus. Finally, one day, the douche was told he couldn't board the bus for harassment and was assigned to one meant for those with disabilities. That wasn't all. He was told to report to a different room for the whole day, without being told why. Of course, the douche complained, but the teacher in the classroom was sent to tell him off. I wasn't sure what was going on until a few days later. It turns out, the bus driver had noticed what was going on and reported the butthole. Soon, a few teachers who work with disabled kids reported the douche as well. The douche was ordered to read and was tested on a law regarding hate crimes, as harassing someone with a disability could be grounds for such crime. The punishment varies under Massachusetts law. Since it was mostly harassment, it was mainly a fine, mandated course, and community services. The icing on the cake, the community service order was to work as a custodian at a nursing home. Judges love poetic justice, and community service sentences are a prime way to dish them out. So in junior high there was a kid, we'll call him Mark, and he would always pick on another kid, Steve, in gym. Mark would do things like spray him with Axe or slap the back of his head. One day Steve was carrying a book and Mark tried to take it, but I guess Steve had been practicing Aikido or something, cause one moment Mark's hand is on the book and by extension Steve's hand, and the next Mark is laying on his back and Steve is calmly walking away. Boss move. A guy really had an immortality complex. He thought he could and did get away with anything. We're talking seriously fricked up crap here. Then one day he decided to brag about showing pee to his young sister. Even worse, he said this in a Discord server that a lot of people were in. Long story short, someone called Child Protective Services, and he had a very bad day. He was the most attractive boy in the school. Girls would literally fight to be his girlfriend. Then, like Prince William, his free trial of hair and premium face expired and he got downgraded. Basically went from a PS5 to Mr. Game & Watch over the course of 5 years. I am the same age as Prince William and, yeah, in our mid-late teens. He was seriously cute and Harry was the awkward one. Fast forward, and now Harry's the hot one. They now sell drugs and went to court for beating up a 12-year-old for not paying £15 for 1 gram of weed. They also told me to suck my mom for not letting them borrow my earphones in lesson before and then called me a F-ot, so that's nice. I hope they enjoy getting stabbed over a small amount of green plant. P. Mostly anyone that thought they were hot and could monopolize. I grew up in rural AK. I can only imagine they were in for a big surprise when they moved to civilization. I remember the people I thought were hot growing up, and now that I've lived in a city for years, cringe. I always wondered about this small town hotness phenomenon. Oh boy, this is a lengthy one. But anyway, this wasn't really a school, more like a neighborhood. Hope it still counts. There was this one guy named Cheerio, yes that's his name, who used to bully all of the younger kids in the neighborhood. He was a high schooler. On the other hand, I was probably about 6 or 7 at the time and my younger brother was like 3 or 4. For 2 weeks straight, every day me and my younger brother went outside to play. Cheerio would beat us up. Me and my brother didn't tell anyone though, because to be honest, we thought he was just fooling around with us and didn't mean to hurt us. At the time, neither of us had any concept of what was or what wasn't dangerous, and our father play fighting with us felt more real and exciting. It wasn't until Cheerio dumped my brother in a garbage can and made him cry that I finally took him seriously. I threw a rock at him and ran away because I knew I could never beat him in a straight up fight. Of course I didn't actually outrun him that day, and I ended up getting beat up. But that didn't stop me from telling my father about the situation. My father asked me what Cheerio did and I didn't tell him about the part about me losing, but the fact that he dumped my brother in a garbage can. My dad told me that if I ever see Cheerio again, let him, my father, know. The next day, I saw Cheerio picking on some kids and I immediately told my father, and he ended up confronting Cheerio head on, beat his butt, and dumped him in a garbage can. I don't think I ever saw Cheerio ever since. TL. DR. Bully beats up 2 little kids, the older one gets his father, and the father beats the bully's butt. This kid used to taunt me every day at school and for the longest time I took the abuse. One day he pushed me too far. I think he started talking crap about my mother, and I pushed him to the ground and beat him in front of everyone. He ended up with a bloody nose and some bruises. Dude never said another word to me. The popular kids all stayed hot and married each other, but I imagine that having the exact same relationship and social circle since the age of 14 probably has a certain Groundhog Day element to it. I mean, IDK, that would be my dream TBH. I'd do anything for a group of friends from when I was a kid up until today. She, white, called my friend the N-word. My friend, this real skinny girl who was one of those kids who never ever had gotten in trouble, decked her square in the jaw and gladly took the out of school suspension. Same girl started feeling woozy during a blood drive I was volunteering at and I helped her over to one of those giant trash barrels to throw up in. She bent over and lost consciousness and fell into the trash. Literally. Know your place, trash. He thought he was also cool during gym class, climbing the basketball hoop and sitting on it, while our teacher kept telling him to come down, and then he got stuck, didn't know how to get down, and our teacher made us all sit down and stare at him. No one was allowed to talk as this dude awkwardly tried to find a way down until he half climbed, half fell in the middle of this dead silent gym. No details on how, but she blew a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity at a major TV network. A year later she said some pretty Islamophobic crap about presenters wearing hijabs on TV. Can't find a single thing about her since then, meaning she must be unemployable in that field, but her Wikipedia page has been edited to say she's 2 years younger than she actually is, and lied about where she grew up, so she must still be trying to hustle for something. I don't get people being angry about hijabs. Their main argument is that women are oppressed and aren't allowed to wear what they want to. I mean, like, dude, you're literally telling them what they can't wear. Oh boy, do I have a list. They were all bullies too. One butthole accidentally shot his brother in the head. The brother miraculously ended up surviving, but the guilt of shooting his brother haunted him and he ended up committing suicide a few months later. One ended up getting 25 years in prison at age 25 for child pornography. He was a boys baseball coach and went after some boys from the team by posing as a girl online to get photos from them. Absolutely disgusting. Last one. I was parked next to him and he rammed his back driver's door into my car while I was sitting in it. I was a shy, unpopular girl, so I was too afraid to call him out. He is now divorced and an estranged father. He cheated on his wife throughout her pregnancy and after. She kept the house and he doesn't see his kid anymore. He has nothing now. Phew. Yeah, I grew up with some star students. This happened to my adult son, S. In early high school. Popular bully, PB, started picking on him not long after S was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Maybe because got S attention and trips to the nurse's office? Who the heck knows? Anyway, PB would smack his books out of his arms, trip him, try to grab his backpack off, etc. I had no idea. However, at that time, S's blood sugar levels were skyrocketing. I had to take him to his endocrinologist twice. Even changed his medication. Once he mentioned PB was bullying him, it all clicked. The bullying had him so stressed he couldn't control his blood sugar. When the bullying stopped, he stabilized again. Fast forward to shortly before graduation, PB, now adult age of 18, was busted for child molestation. I don't have all the details. He was immediately expelled, in court, convicted, and didn't graduate. Frick that little monster. My god, this is one of the most horrific stories I've read on this post. Glad it all worked out in the end though. Varsity basketball, volleyball and softball player, member of the school's NHS leadership, in contention for valedictorian, got an underage DUI, kicked off all 3 teams, out of NHS and couldn't keep her grades up. He thought he was Wesley Snipes and walked around grabbing girls and acting untouchable. He was on the rugby team and though he was tougher than steel. Cue my friend, Dan the quiet kid. Discount blade shoves what was meant to be an easy target. Dan breaks the bully's knee backwards and smashes his face into the pavement. While Mr. Towshit is still face down, Dan then steps on the back of the knee, straightening it out. No more rugby, no more random gropes, no more bullying. Damn Daniel. After a day of teasing me, I slammed him into the wall and screamed, "Shut the frick up." I got a week of ISS. He got a week of regular suspension. Most of my bullies left me alone after that, and the next year he tried to act like we were buddy. I told him to frick right off. BRUTALITY. In junior high, this one popular kid had a habit of stealing things from my backpack, spreading humiliating rumors about me, did his best to make sure I would have no friends, vandalized my bike multiple times, and is likely responsible for why I am physically disabled. He would get other students to join in on all of this. I got smart and gathered enough evidence of the harassment, and he ended up getting to be followed around the school every day by a teacher's aide for the entire last half of grade 9. He lost almost all of his following when this happened. He later ended up on the front page of the city newspaper wanted for drug-related crimes. They didn't. Turns out that movies don't play out like real life. I graduated high school in 1997. By the time things like Facebook came out, I didn't give a crap about anyone I went to high school with. I graduated high school in 1997. Me too, but it took less time than maybe 6 months before I didn't see anyone from school. The biggest bully in high school always picked on me. I always just let it go. I sometimes fought back, but then his gang of friends would jump in and push me back. The very last day of senior year, as we're walking out to our cars after graduation, he said, "Hey man, I'm sorry for being such a jerk. I just went wide-eyed, shaking my head laughing, and was like, are you freaking kidding me? He went on to become a cop. I'm still waiting for his time that karma repays him for my 6 years of heck. I got one. Finally. There was this huge bully when I was in high school and I was kinda fat, you know, not hiding it. Anyway, 7 years later, 5 years of military forces, 2 tours in Afghanistan, I go back home and my brother invite me to a poker game. Of course I go, and guess who's at the fricking table? That damn bully. Not sure he remember me cause I kinda changed a lot, you know. Anyway, during the game, we talk about what we've been doing. I tell him I just bought a house, did 2 tours doing good, and he goes, well, after school I started working in a furniture shop but it closed and now I'm unemployed. I know it means to revel in other people's misfortune, but goddamn I could only think, frick him at that moment. No better revenge than living well. He got beat up by a girl. I mean, she really kicked the crap out of him while he tried to actually fight back. He was a racist butthole and it was a black girl. He transferred to a different school 2 weeks later. By me doing my current events report, which ruined the star athlete's future. My school had rules saying if you got caught with drugs you couldn't play sports. One of the popular jocks got arrested, but since he was the star football player the school just kind of looked the other way and nothing happened. My social studies teacher would have current event days where everybody would have to bring in an article from a newspaper or magazine and talk about it in class. Buried super deep in the local section of the paper was a little 1-paragraph article about a drug bust that listed the names of everyone who got arrested, which included the jock. Yeah, I used that article for current events topic. His teammates in that class were less than happy with me. Not only that, but the school started talking about my little stunt, which meant the coaches and administration couldn't just ignore his arrest anymore and he got kicked off the team. Not on the team anymore. Colleges that were offering scholarships start asking questions and eventually pull those offers. Oops, guess the guy shouldn't have been such an butt to me over the years. Scorched earth policy. 16-year-old student at the private boarding school I worked at, who had a mother who had raised him to think he could do no wrong, and a clique of friends who aided and abetted him in bullying younger students. And his victims were always too scared to say anything, until he picked on the wrong kid. It started with low-level harassment, and then one evening in the TV lounge the 16-year-old grabbed a bag of sweets from a 13-year-old and threw them in the bin. The 13-year-old let out a yell of absolute rage, charged at the older kid and spear tackled him in a way that would have made a pro wrestler proud. Just as the duty member of staff walked into the room, the lighting must have been poor in there, because nobody mentioned witnessing the spear tackle, but they were all queuing up to tell the member of staff how the 16-year-old had been picking on the younger kid, and several other victims finally got up the nerve to come forward as well. The older kid was suspended for 2 weeks for bullying, and never quite managed to live down the day he got spear tackled by a boy who was a good foot shorter and 2 stone lighter than him. He used to go behind random boys in the locker room and started thrusting. He thought it was hilarious. He wasn't just a jerk in that regard, but in this instance did he get his comeuppance. He decided I would be a good victim. Next, I placed my foot on the bench to tie my shoes, bent over slightly to tie them, and he came up behind me and did his most notorious jerk move. I span around, pushed him into the wall. He lost his crap. "Oh, you wanna go? You wanna go?" he screamed, while hitting and clawing at me. Didn't hurt, really. It was like a toddler hitting their mother because they didn't get any candy. I let him have it, and another kid held him back so he'd stop. This was all in the locker room, and of course we have an attendant in there because we're a mildly rich school. He saw a kid hitting another kid, and pulled the victim, me, aside, and asked what happened. I told him. He directed me to the principal's office, of which I repeated the same story. The thruster wasn't too far behind, and I saw him crying as I walked back to pay. I wasn't his only victim, but I was his last. TLDR. Dude dry humped me in the locker room. I slammed him into the wall. He got angry. We both got sent to the principal's office, and he wasn't suspended, but I do think he is banned from the locker room. Look up Key and Peele slap butt on YouTube. Your situation reminded me of it. This girl I went to high school with was a straight B, but had some clout. A year after high school she got caught abusing an autistic kid she babysat. There was baby cam audio of her saying something along the lines of AWW did that hurt, no one cares, and the kid screaming for her to stop. She had her face in the local newspaper and everything. Then she got pregnant and the BD left her and she came out and has a hot girlfriend and now is a moderately small business owner. I guess sometimes the bad people win. Kid bragged about how rich his family was and talked about how he was gonna inherit his parents' business. Business went under a whole 39 days later and I got an email from him recently. I've got a business proposal and since I know you are successful in business thought we could cooperate on a project. I responded with I would, but you inherited your parents' business so you don't need me. My high school bully married her high school sweetheart. They had a baby recently. Honestly, I wish her all the best, but I don't think she's changed, and she's probably going to raise her kid to be the same way. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.